want to know from you what your experience of democracy is. Let's share this morning together. What are your experiences of this? Is it a gift that you were given? And by who? If it is a gift that you were given, who gave us this gift? Yeah, no, I want us to engage with each other. Very, very excited for this conversation because I am joined indeed by a member of parliament who serves on the Human Settlements Portfolio Committee, and he's also the spokesperson for the DA in Parliament on housing. And he's joining us over here. He's not showing his face this morning, but we've got him here. You'll hear his voice. Abuti, Mr. Luyolo Mpiti. I don't know if they call each other comrades in the DA. Luyolo, good morning to you.
A very good morning to you and to your listeners. Thank you so much for having me. In fact, we don't call each other comrades.
What do you call each other?
We use our names.
Oh, it's just Luyolo, Melissa, and Felajalo.
Anjan.
Oh, okay. No, I'm very excited to have you here. A lot of people, Luyolo, would agree that the world we live in is quite polarized, and it looks very different to the life of those who were around a century ago, for instance, and from the times when people used to just, dominate each other through migration politics to the terrible times of slavery. No one wants to go there. And unfortunately, shame, there are different forms of slavery that still exist even in our times. And then there were the land grabs. I don't know what to call them, or yeah, resource grabs, through colonization. We've had that, which have left many developing nations still under a system of imperialism, where I think many developing countries, the third world countries, are forced to still rely on the countries that had once colonized them, or at least on that kind of system for sustenance. And then the political movements came. Hey, they came through, and something termed democracy became the freedom that many countries in Africa, for example, were excited about, because hey, freedom is coming tomorrow. Now freedom is here. Gone will be the days of Yebo Bas and all that stuff. Has democracy been good, or has it become our worst enemy? I think I have an idea what you're going to say, but I'm going to hear it from your mouth yourself. Your take.
Yeah, well, I think democracy for many people has not been good. And I think we
Mm,
need to be honest about that. I think the majority of South Africans have done the right things and have gone to school, gone to primary school, gotten an education, gone to high school, gotten an education, and if they're lucky enough, have been able to go to university to get a qualification. But even though South Africans have done the right thing, they still find themselves unemployed. They've ticked all the
mm.
boxes of
Oh,
what it means to do the right thing, but still have not experienced this democracy and what it promised. And so I do think a lot of people remain within the concept of what democracy is because it's yet to reach them. Not because they're not buying into democracy, but simply because it has not been tangible,
ish.
even when they've ticked all the boxes.
Yeah. And I think maybe this should lead us to then question, so that we are all on the same page. The understanding of then what democracy is. If we say that it's something that has not been tangible, Kshutsi, experientially and philosophically, how can we define democracy in 2025? What would we say it is? Because in a nutshell, I think it's governance for the people, by the people. Is that really the case?
Mm.
And then what are the expectations that have not been met?
Yeah, definitely. I think you correctly put it. It's governance by the people, for the people, and and that obviously goes hand in hand with our constitution, right? Because our constitution gives life to democracy. Our constitution speaks about what a democracy is supposed to be, in terms of, when you talk about elections, when you talk about the values and principles of our constitution, and when you talk about really freedom and fairness in our society, our constitution speaks to those particular issues. And so I think we also can't deny the fact that there have been people who have benefited, and perhaps in the wrong way, in this democracy,
Mm,
while the majority has been left behind. And I think what is dangerous in our society is when people start to believe less and less and less in this democratic project that we've started as a country. Because once we start to not believe in it, then the concept of a South African state that is guided by these values, starts to disappear. And so you are left with frustration, anger, and that can only mean one thing. And so I think it's very incumbent upon all of us, who, whether the democracy has been tangible to us or not, that we continuously grapple with whether this project is going in the right direction, or whether this project is actually crashing. And if it is crashing, what does that mean, and what are we going to do about it?
man, very unfortunate that we find ourselves in that kind of situation, especially when you look at being the youngest country in the world, or in Africa, rather. Let me say in Africa, being the youngest to become a democratic state. Even though there's a lot of critiques that are definitely uh, plausible, legitimate, are there things that can still be appreciated about democracy in our time? Like literally, as we talk to each other right now, uh, do you think that there are things that we can say, oh, but at least we still, or is that the problem, having the at least kind of conversations?
No, well, I do think it's important to appreciate our democracy.
Yeah.
And I think we can appreciate it, but also grapple with the fact that it might not be going in the direction that we want it to. And I think in being able to do that both,
Yeah.
it allows us to actually, one, appreciate where we are, but also not accept where we are. And so I think it's, when you look at where we are as a country, I mean, there are definitely things we can appreciate. We can appreciate freedom. We can appreciate that we are in a country where we can move where we want to move, and all of those things that happened in the past, the racism and apartheid and segregation, and you know, uh, holding people in their movement. I mean, we can appreciate those things, but I think the young people in our country have moved past that. Right? Many young people now have been born after 1994, and so don't have that experience of these things. And so their only experience is grappling with what this economy looks like and what this economy is doing. And it's very hard to negotiate that want or that need, and not being able to be an active economic participator, and not being able to find a job, not being able to build ikaya.
Mm, yeah. Oh, okay.
Maybe in a city, there's a. I hope that makes sense,
Yes,
right?
no, yes, 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 yes. I just thought that we're losing you over there. Um, and you are saying the issues that you feel are at the top of the list are the economy, whether it's the unemployment, those issues, ripple effects, of course, that have led us to a situation where those become frustrations, that many people have when there's democracy. But the freedom of expression will then be important. But I think more than that, Luyolo, it's nice to be able to talk and say whatever you want about your president and have no one come and put you in jail or anything of the sort happen to you. But it's not enough. And I think that's what you're also saying. There should be more, which for me, it leads to then how can a young person in 2025 become a game changer, or even if you can't change the game entirely, because you will understand, Marxism told us that, yay, some of these systems are not easy to change single-handedly. It's so interwoven into the culture. It's enmeshed so much. It's mashed potatoes. It's juicy oros mixed with water already. So how do we become people who can still be catalysts for change, regardless of what maybe those even in power do or don't do?
Yeah, well, I think that's a definitely important question. And I think it's very important off the cuff to just say that politics is really not the only vehicle in order to contribute in our country. And I think there's many other sectors and spaces in which people can contribute and can be at the forefront of bringing about change within not only their communities, but where they are, because that's where we start to be change makers within our communities, within the spaces that we find ourselves. And so there are incredible sectors in our country, the NGO sector that literally does the job of government in a space, when we talk about gender-based violence, when we talk
Yeah.
about abuse, when we talk about taking in women into homes, when we talk about counseling, when we talk about preparing people for cases. So there are literally organizations that are literally shifting our country on the ground by doing the basics, right? And I think that's where we are grappling with, because the basics are no longer basics anymore. Like, we're literally fighting for the basics now, right? Because just everything is kind of crumbling in front of us. So there are people who are actually doing the work in different spaces. So I would just say that, we all just have to just get in there and roll up our sleeves, because it's not about how big the change is. It's just about being there and trying to shift things on the ground and trying to make things better for people. Whether it is fighting for that tap in your rural area, or fighting for that dignity of, not having a pit toilet, but everything has an impact. And I think we all, wherever we find ourselves in, can contribute.
Yeah, that's a big point. As opposed to just maybe throwing in the towel and just letting the situation unravel and being feeling stuck and being stuck. Two terrible experiences to go through. Maybe as a final parting shot, Luyolo, and you're welcome to join the conversation. What are your comments? You hearing what Luyolo is saying? Maybe you've got different views about the experience of democracy and how it ties into you personally and how you experience your life. Whether it is that for the sake of your faith, you appreciate democracy, but you do understand that there are many other gaps that a lot of people cannot really enjoy because of whether it's the capitalism that comes with the democracy, and etc. etc. Our WhatsApp line is +27734703520, where you can share your thoughts. Parting shots, Luyolo. The prospects for the future. I mean, you're in the space every day. You sit where laws are made, and so people would say you've got power to change things, to make sure that the policies align um, for the majority. And I don't know if it should be for the majority, or it should be for everyone, or it could never be for everyone, because people are so different and their needs and wants are different. But what would you say then that the prospects for the future look like with regards to where democracy is concerned in South Africa and maybe the
Yeah,
world?
look, I think in South Africa it's a very exciting time. And I say that because, you know, after the 2024 elections, we saw, a coalition government. And so I think it's exciting times because no one is comfortable and no one is assured that they have the support of the people. And I think it's a great place to be in, because it means that everybody should actually be working harder in those spaces. Whether it's political parties in parliament, in different spheres of government, they should be working harder because nothing is guaranteed. And South Africans have said that to us to say, we are not giving anybody a guarantee. Work together, and that's what it's supposed to be. So I think it's an exciting time because the core of it now is basic service delivery. The core of it now is simply saying that we cannot continue to live in a society where we have to outsource the responsibility of government to other things. You can't outsource your safety from the police to private security companies. You can't outsource your health from public hospitals to private hospitals. You can't outsource, the fixing of your potholes by government to now being fixed by the community coming together and fixing that pothole. We cannot outsource the responsibility of government to others. And I think that is the fight that we have together with the economy. So I think it's an exciting time in terms of democracy. And I think it will be dependent on how all these political parties come together and work together, but continually being challenged to be real, be honest, and try to do better for the South African people, as it should be, right? And that we shouldn't be clapping for a fish swimming because that's where we are right now. That simply for someone doing their job, it's so amazing and so shocking to us that it must be celebrated, but that's just the basic, and that's what should just be happening.
Yeah, I appreciate this conversation, Luyolo. It's important for us to reflect on democracy because sometimes I don't know. I am very into like the international news and what's happening around the world, and you see a lot of governance structures kind of changing, moving away from pure democracy to, I don't know what we would call it at this time, but there's definitely some kind of authoritarianism, even from the West, that I think I observe. But of course, opinions are just that. They are opinions, and other people might have a different look about it. But I do appreciate your thoughts to have us reflect a little bit more on democracy. When people celebrate democracy around the world, do we have something to as well celebrate in this country? Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And may you also go and swim, do what you are supposed to do out there.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just want to say before I go, I'm so incredibly proud of you, and it's so great to really see the work that you've done. I am very proud of you, and keep well.
Thank you so much. Proud of you too. Very proud of you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Adventist World Radio, SID Media. We are not general practitioners. We are specialists in Bible-based